Well, hi. Welcome to the third part of the lecture on the discrimination in the labor market. This lecture is part of the Gender Economics course lecture series, which is prepared for the Middle Technical University Northern Cyprus campus. And in this part, I want to talk on the aspect of Elson's article on the efficiency. Mainly, the efficiency is used as an argument why discrimination in a market economy is something that is expected to disappear. We will talk more on this process, how it is argued, how this argument is constructed in the next article. But briefly speaking, if people discriminate for women, that means they are getting more unproductive men for jobs. Rather than more productive women, basically. The fact that they prefer men to women when they are more productive also means they will prefer men to women when women are slightly less productive or even more, slightly more productive or even drastically more productive. So if we have even very little number of non-discriminating employers, they will basically they will actually experience a higher level of productivity compared with the discriminatory ones. As a result, because their workers will be more productive, they will hire more productive women into their factories. As a result, they will become more advantageous. The discriminatory employers will go bankrupt. And basically, the discriminatory employers will disappear. We will have an equal world. Well, Elson says this is not necessarily true. For one reason, in the labor market, we will see that efficiency when we go to the model more clearly. But the main point is, we assume there is no social organization. We assume there is no coordination between the actors in the economic system. In reality, we might very well have a male culture dominant, and that male culture basically might influence the all workers, employers, and basically the actors in this male-dominated economy might very much want to protect this dominance. Well, if they want to do so, in that case, you might think it's an altruistic thing. And again, if you have one male person employer who want to do otherwise, that person may prevail and become more advantageous and become dominant in the labor market, not necessarily because the other workers, other employers might react against that person. That person is not in isolation. That person's reaction will shape the reaction of other people also. Which means actually, well, people might hire women, but usually for low wages, which gives them sufficient level of advantage in that case. And also, the fact that women are excluded from most jobs also make their opportunities more inferior. So they are accepting those low wages. So you might have these outsiders, and some employers might use this opportunity outsider workforce, which women might be included in that workforce if the working culture is highly male dominant. And some people might, again, as I said, employ those outside the workforce, but still, of course, in order to be able to do that, the profits should be very high. And still, employing this outside the workforce doesn't mean that they might still put some barrier between the women's jobs and the man jobs, and don't cross the line too much by getting women to very top positions. Currently, maybe it might be less so, but still, they might keep the women's the number of women workers relatively less, and also maybe to some positions still they might be basically filled men. And still in the work culture, I mean male culture, the connection between male worker might be more improved than the female worker, which might mean that only really the individual productivity of women should be very high, so that they can make up with this disconnect between the male workers. So this male culture, as I said, might be very dominant, and that might basically actually affect the efficiency for the people, for the employers in the labor force. So when they look to the short-term, especially short-term efficiency, the efficiency that they could get given this male culture, given all these biases, they might very well decide that it's actually more efficient for them to not employ women, or basically restrict the women workers, restrict the positions they can get. Did Alison put this to concrete? Actually, she gives an example from a factory, and you can see the details of the example. I will just go briefly on it. She gives a case in, I believe, toy factory, where you have women workers and male engineer and male supervisor. The women workers, they state that actually the productivity of the women workers were low, and they claim that was because the belt was too fast. So it was too fast, so they could not basically move quickly to adjust to the speed of the belt when they were adding parts of the toys. So several toys should be recycled again and again, so that they could be built well, good enough. I mean, they could be built, and they said to the engineer and supervisor, if you reduce the speed of belt, productivity can increase, so we can work more efficiently. We can build the toy at the first turn, basically. Both the supervisor and the engineer has refused. They said women don't know it. I mean, they don't know how. They don't know basically how the work should be done, even if it's the work they themselves are doing. The engineers know it better because they have more knowledge, more skills. They kind of had gone over the supervisor and engineer and asked the same question to the upper level of the company. And upper level of the company decided to reduce the speed of belt. And everything was fine. The productivity has increased. Women were right. So, case closed? No. According to the answer Alison has given, the authority of the engineer and the supervisor was passed, and they also were proven wrong, and this has decreased the productivity of supervisors and engineers in the factory, because I mean now the authority of the supervisors and engineers were passed. They become unhappy, they become unproductive, and the factory has just decided it is not worth the productivity. The productivity increase of the female workers themselves is not would not compensate productivity decrease of the engineers and the supervisors. So they decided to speed up belt again, even though women were right in that case. So this shows you one thing. I mean, the social aspects, social relations in the existing structure might make people do certain things that are actually inefficient when you look to the global level. I mean, when you make use of both women's and men's skills properly, when you decide their positions, or when you even give the decisions according to who is right or who is wrong, or when you give the positions according to who has better skill, who is not better skill, assuming there is no gender bias, assuming no male dominant culture, you might get a better efficiency, but not maybe when you have that male culture. So in that sense, when you think about the short-term efficiency, where you fix the order, the social structure given, your decisions might be different from when you think what will be most efficient way to build the system from the starting point on. What will be the most efficient system? But pretty much social order might be built not concerning efficiencies, but by let's say some coincidences maybe, or some historical roles that were built upon the conditions women and men faced centuries or maybe thousands of years ago. Having said that, we should also mention the case of inertia, which is basically, for example, if you want to train women, if you want to give women, get women to better positions, well, initially, in order to get actual benefits of this, you might need to wait 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, basically. So when you get women into an education, or when you start to women get better positions in the companies, basically, at first women might not be as productive as men. Before they adjust, before the people adjust to them, before they adjust to the male culture, before the cultures are integrated with each other, you might feel some adverse effects of it. That might happen for 1 year, 2 years, or that kind of time. So because of that, and that's the essence idea why state policies might matter. Companies might pretty much think that, well, that period is a lost period. So they might not want to go to that lost period because they don't know, how this initial short-run losses will affect them. So they should be brought to that direction according to Alison. They should need to face this loss in the short run to get better gains in the long run with state policies, according to Alison. In some conditions, at least, that might be, according to Alison, necessary. Well, a similar thing might be also coordination problem, where we are talking about the macro efficiency. We might get a better efficiency if everyone basically does something, like again, act without gender bias. But pretty much if everyone else is acting with gender bias and one person is acting with gender bias, that person might be in very well disadvantaged, as we have seen, especially if we have a socially connected framework of the labor market and production. This is Alson's article. It has many other fine details. Actually, she wrote a lot on it, and I encourage you to read all of the details. It's a very nice article. But now we can pass to Blau's article, which is very long, contains a lot. The main idea is several different measurements techniques verify existence of discrimination in USA today. Theoretical explanation of this discrimination may explain part of this discrimination. Also, different policy suggestions are made, and some are implemented to reduce discrimination in the USA. So we will see both empirics, theories, and policies related to discrimination in this article. But we will do that in the next part. See you in the next part.